How's it going, guys? Welcome to another wonderful, beautiful Couch Talks with Zero Fox Coffee and Games. We have Zill and, of course, myself, Nerdfather CJ here, and the dogs are currently over there chilling. Today we want to talk to you about a virtual tabletop system that we just discovered fairly recently called Foundry. If you're not familiar with virtual tabletops, it's a virtual tabletop, typically for like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, etc. So there's some similar ones.
The most popular is Roll20.
Yes, Roll20.
Which you've probably heard of.
Yep. And it's all right in its own right, but so Zill has been messing around with the Foundry server because I purchased it for them, and she's been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been really fun to set up. Right now I'm just going through and basically taking a bunch of backlog from the last campaign and anything that might come up, trying to get it in there somehow so that I have content to start out with.
So what differentiates Foundry from other virtual tabletops?
So, for the most part, you are hosting your own server, which I find really nice because that means I have complete control over the version number. There's not going to be an update that just destroys everything unless I tell it to update. It also means that I'm hosting all the files on there, and then I have to do my own port forwarding, but that's not really a big deal. It's actually kind of nice for me because I'm either handing out a new link every time because we don't have a static IP address. So if somebody got really upset over last session, they couldn't just come in and be like, well, I'm going to click damage on all the NPCs or something. That would be really annoying to fix.
Yeah.
There is a service that I stumbled across. I think it's called Forge or something to that effect, where they're hosting Foundry servers for you, and I don't know if that's a paid service. We didn't really need it, so we didn't look into it.
Yeah, but I think their goal is to eventually, basically, you would say, hey, I want this kind of server, I wanted to run this kind of system, and I think these are the modules I'm going to want, maybe? I don't know. It is kind of a cool system, because the Foundry server, basically, you choose the system you want to play in. So in our case, we chose Pathfinder 1st Edition because, first of all, we're most familiar with it, and secondly, it is and has been our overall favorite system for a while, for various reasons. And then you go in and you can change the base setup of the Foundry server with a whole bunch of mods, doing crazy things. Zill set up a really fun little thing, which she's going to explain to us.
So there's this combination of different modules that I have. One of them is called About Time, which updates the time based on real time, and you can choose how it scales. So right now I have it, I think 1 second is 30 seconds in the game, so every 2 seconds it takes forward a minute, just because it doesn't really matter. But I've played around with it, like every second is 10 minutes just to watch it go through a day cycle, and it really does. It like affects the lighting and all this other stuff. And then there's, I don't remember exactly what it's called, I think it's called Special Effects, which just gives you all sorts of like cool animations, like a fireball animation, and there's clouds and rain and stuff. And there's another one called Calendar and Weather. Calendar and Weather lets you, both Calendar, Weather, and About Time let you set up your own calendar, which you can just use like the Gregorian calendar, or you can choose the Galarian calendar, or several other pre-made ones, or I made my own for my setting. But the two calendars are synced, and so now what's happening is every day, or like as it's going through the in-game days, every day it rolls new weather based on the current season and the climate I've set for the map. So as I'm letting it tick through time, it'll just randomly start raining, or like clouds will show up, and
which is really cool. I was helping troubleshoot some things and watching it happen myself, and it was really fun. So one of the things that really stands out to me, and maybe because I'm such an old school gamer, is you can actually you don't need the internet to play per se. Like once you get the server set up, you can just play in your LAN. And, if you don't have internet, the internet goes out or whatever, it doesn't matter to you because if you and your friends are all in the same house playing on the virtual tabletop, and instead of doing, voice over Discord or whatnot, you're just all on the same table on your laptops or whatever, it really kind of brings back that, potential for a LAN party, which I loved LAN parties, went to a whole bunch when I was growing up, but... for those of us who don't know, LAN party is when you go and everybody gathers their computers and goes to the same place, and you all connect through the network to play, whatever Counter-Strike or whatnot. Yeah. Yeah.
There's also a module for a hot seat account, so you make an account named Hot Seat or Observer, and you set up the permissions to go through all the player characters. So if you wanted, you could have a TV and just play in the TV room, all on the couch, just playing from there, because it'd flip through every character in combat order, which I think would be super cool.
Would be super cool. So we haven't actually had the chance to really sit down and play it yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's not officially released. It's in beta right now. It comes out this week.
Yeah. Which is awesome. It's very exciting. For $50, you can pick up a Foundry license, and that license is yours permanently, to my knowledge, or to my understanding. And includes all updates.
And there's no plan to create anything that goes behind a paywall.
Yeah. To my knowledge, it's going to be all very open, which is why there's such strong community support with tons of modules already, even before the game's released. Which certainly beats out things like Roll20, where in Roll20 it's $50 for a year, and assuming that you're pouring the same amount of time into your Foundry server as you are in your Roll20 server, one quickly loses the race after a year.
Yeah, even if you're paying for something like an Amazon server, one of our friends is, and it costs him 7 cents a month or something.
Yeah, he says after the first year it'll go up to maybe $3.
Yeah. And if you wanted to do something fancy, get your own domain name, I looked into that. That's $1 a month.
Kind of depends on the name, but yeah, it's between $1
Unless
to...
you're gonna pick something really popular, if you wanted to name it...
Harry Potter World?
Yeah, or 5e Epic Server or something.
Yeah.
Specifically probably isn't that popular. But if you named it just after your own campaign name or own setting or something...
It's probably fine.
Then yeah.
So just some core features that the system has itself. You get ambient lighting and sound.
Yeah, the ambient sound has been really fun to play with. I haven't seen DMs use that one in Roll20, though I don't know that means it's not there.
I think it is there, but you have to know freaking Java or something obnoxious.
But yeah, this one you can just drag in a sound. There's a whole menu for it. You say, okay, I want a sound effect here, and then you drag this up the radius, and then it lets you go pick a file somewhere.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if that particular functionality is in Roll20. I have not seen it. Okay. I know you can it has its own player in Roll20, which Foundry also does.
Yes.
Just to set the map music.
Yeah, but then this one, our friend showed us, oh, well, I can say that this building's on fire, and then if you go up next to the building, the sound of the fire gets louder, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
Or I have, right now my map that I have been practicing on is the main city we're going to start in. And so I'll have, the marketplace, you just hear, random talking. And then as you get further into the marketplace, it gets louder, and when you get far enough away, you don't hear it anymore.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, there's, of course, we already mentioned the animated effects. There's the walls, so there are various versions of the, you can't cross this line walls that also block light or let light through. It sounds like there might be more variants of those walls made available with later updates, but just with those two, it's already extremely powerful.
Yeah, so you have regular walls, which are you can't see, hear, or walk through them, and then you have ethereal walls, which are you can't see or hear through them, and you can set those to even be one-sided.
Yeah.
But you can still walk through them, and then you have the invisible wall, which I kind of deleted because it's silly for a city map, but I played around with it, and I could be okay, this is a cliff. there's an invisible wall here because if you go past it, you fall down. But I'm not gonna make it so you can't see past there because it's a cliff.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so the modules that we're using for ours, we already talked about the calendar one, but we're using a Discord integration one, which is kind of cool. It basically creates its own like Discord server almost, but not necessarily on your Discord client. But it does tell your Discord client what game you're playing and like what map you're on.
Yeah, so what it does is it generates a temporary Discord server, but you don't have to go into the server on Discord. Instead, the normal voice chat gets taken over by Discord's protocols, and so it has like a separate push-to-talk than the rest of your system. If you wanted to, you could be in the chat for your campaign and in another chat
on Discord
with all your friends complaining about
Bob again.
Yeah.
Frickin' Bob.
Or just being like, yo, look at this cool thing that I just did or whatever.
Yeah, and then
the DM can set different game statuses. So right now I have it set to where when I'm DMing it says I'm GMing Larenthia because it's the name of my campaign setting, and then my players will say playing insert character, like whatever character they have selected. The only downside of that one is you have to download the API on everyone's computer.
Yeah, and the API does currently tend to misbehave a little bit. I've had it pop open multiple tabs as an example. Not the most annoying thing ever.
I think in large part that's because I'm constantly reloading the server though.
Yeah, maybe.
Because whenever I change the modules, I have to reload.
So yeah, maybe I wonder if it'll do it if we like were to change maps. We'll have to experiment with that. But anyway, so that's one of them. I really think that one's cool, and I think it'll probably only get better. I think all this stuff is only going to get better. Community support is massive. The Discord server is gigantic.
Like, and aside from updating, everything has worked on a Raspberry Pi, which is just kind of impressive.
Yes, we're using ours we put ours on a Raspberry Pi 4 with it's the 2 gig variant. So 2 gigs of RAM, 1.5 gigahertz processor, Raspberry Pi 4.
Yeah. Way below their recommended specifications.
Yeah,
it's done everything except update itself correctly.
Yes, we've had no problems with it unless we try to update it through the client, and then it crashes usually at some point.
It's okay though. We just update it via.
Yeah, you just download the file and copy paste. So the various systems that they're already working on for this. For Foundry include 5e, which seems to be the most complete because the community there is just so gigantic.
And they also have attached themselves to the D&D Beyond API, it sounds like, so I think that's helped them.
Yeah, that's probably helped them a lot because they're just... then you have Pathfinder 1 and 2 and Starfinder. I don't know what state 2 and Starfinder are in. Exactly. Our friend that showed us this service uses Pathfinder 2, and he says it's pretty great. Yeah. Pathfinder 1's is definitely it has a lot of tools. There's a lot of stuff there. Mm-hmm. It's coming along great, but it is not as complete as I think it should be.
Mostly, I think the databases are incomplete.
Yeah.
But from what I've been seeing, they're updating it like every day.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're just laying out the framework, so the databases will be more useful when we get there.
Then you have Dungeon World, which I've never experimented with, but it sounds like you're just your classic RPG dungeon delver, if that's all you like to do, with some light RP or... I don't know. It looks like a fun, very light system. So you have Shadowrun 5e, 13th Age, which I'm not familiar with.
Did you say they had Fate?
They do have Fate.
Okay.
And they have Numenera, which I would like to try. What else do they have? They have... and then they have a template. There's a few other ones, but they also just have a template if they don't have a system that you want to play on, or you have your own homebrew system like I do as an example, which is something I'm working on. You can start building that system on a simple world building template that they provide for free. Like you can shamelessly rip it off and change it, add to it, whatever. And that's what it's there for, is for the more open-ended non-systems or, really not popular systems or whatnot.
Yeah. And, you know, if you have a system you really want to play and you know JavaScript, you can completely write one. There's nothing stopping you from putting in your own system. They're just like the modules in that sense.
Yeah. Yep. So, a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of really cool... I would definitely head over to Foundry VTT or TVV.
VTT.
Yeah,
Virtual
VTT.
Tabletop.
.com and check it out. They also have a Patreon, which if you get in on the Patreon, you also get a license, if I recall
You
correctly.
get a discount on the license.
Just a discount? Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really helps out the creator who's pumped this entire thing out in like less than a year and a half.
Yes.
And he's like some kind of wizard, it seems like.
And you get the last beta release.
Yeah.
But you don't get the license to update unless you buy it.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Alright guys, well, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so.
Cool, well I think that's all we have to share with you about the Foundry Virtual Tabletop. Like I said, head on over there to check it out, but also make sure you check out our Patreon link and hit that like and subscribe button, all that jazz, please. Helps us out so we can keep bringing you content. Have a magical day.